The Galactic Council's dire misconception. In the grand amphitheater of the Galactic Council headquarters, the gathered representatives of 100 starfaring civilizations murmured amongst themselves as they awaited the start of the emergency session. The atmosphere was tense, with nervous energy crackling through the air like an impending ion storm. At the central podium, the Insectoid Council leader Zast-9 called the meeting to order, his mandibles clicking with agitation. Esteemed members of the Council, we convene today to discuss a grave matter, the discovery of a new sentient species on the planet designated as Earth. Initial reports from our scout drones suggest a primitive civilization, one that has barely mastered chemical rocket technology and still relies on fossil fuels for energy. A wave of dismissive chirps and grunts echoed through the chamber. A bulbous, gelatinous council member from Varix Prime gurgled derisively, "Primates? Hardly worth our attention. Our scans show they still engage in intraspecies warfare over trivial matters like resources and ideology. They pose no threat to the Council." Similar sentiments flowed through the auditorium, with many members scoffing at the notion that such a backward species warranted an emergency session. The Galactic Council, after all, represented the pinnacle of technological and societal advancement in the known universe. What could humans, still trapped by the shackles of their own primitive nature, possibly offer or threaten? Amidst the dismissive chatter, a lone figure stood, drawing the attention of the assembled counselors. Xyloth, the avian representative from the Ethon Consortium, raised a sleek, feathered arm to command the floor. Known for his keen intellect and cautious nature, Xyloth was an respected voice on the council. "Distinguished colleagues," Xyloth began, his melodious voice cutting through the noise, "I urge you not to dismiss this new species so quickly. Appearances can be deceiving, and our information on these humans is woefully limited." The chamber fell silent, surprised by Xyloth's challenge to the prevailing consensus. The avian continued, "I have reviewed the scout drone footage and analyzed the intercepted transmissions from their global data network. While their technology may be primitive by our standards, their capacity for rapid adaptation and innovation is alarming." Xyloth's words were met with skeptical trills and hoots, but he pressed on undeterred. "Their history is littered with examples of their species overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds through sheer tenacity, ingenuity, and a stubborn refusal to accept defeat. They have harnessed the power of the atom, developed complex social structures, and even begun to reach out into the stars, all in a cosmically insignificant time span." The council chamber erupted into a cacophony of objections and dismissals, but Xyloth's voice rose above the din. "I propose we deploy a stealth observation team to study these humans in greater depth. We must understand their potential, both as allies and adversaries. To underestimate them based on superficial scans would be a grave mistake." Zast-9 chittered pensively, his compound eyes reflecting the agitated council members. "Your proposal is noted, Xyloth. We will put it to a vote. But I caution against investing too much concern into a species that has yet to even achieve faster-than-light travel." The vote was cast, and Xyloth's proposal was narrowly approved, much to the consternation of the dismissive majority. As the council dispersed, Xyloth couldn't shake the sense of unease that coiled in his gut. He feared that the council's hubris and complacency would come back to haunt them, and that the humans might one day prove to be the galaxy's most formidable challenge yet. Little did the council know, their dismissive attitude towards humanity would soon be put to the ultimate test, as a rogue faction within the council's ranks set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the balance of power in the galaxy. The humans, for all their perceived primitiveness, were about to show the galaxy the true depths of their resolve and the unyielding power of the human spirit. The invasion begins. In the depths of the Orion Arm, far from the prying eyes of the Galactic Council, a massive warfleet assembled. The ships belonged to the Krovax, a ruthless and technologically advanced species known for their conquests of resource-rich worlds. Led by the cunning and brutal warlord Kraxus, the Krovax had grown disillusioned with the Council's pacifistic approach to lesser species. Kraxus stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devastator, his reptilian eyes gleaming with malice as he surveyed the holographic display of Earth. "This primitive mudball will make a fine addition to our empire," he hissed, his forked tongue flickering with anticipation. "The Council's scouts report that the humans possess vast reserves of rare minerals and biological resources. We will take what we need and enslave the survivors." The Krovax armada, cloaked from Earth's primitive detection systems, descended upon the unsuspecting planet like a swarm of locusts. Massive, angular ships darkened the skies over major cities, their hulls bristling with advanced plasma cannons and energy shielding. The humans, caught utterly unprepared, could only watch in horror as the aliens unleashed a devastating barrage of firepower. In mere hours, Earth's mightiest cities lay in ruins, their defenders crushed beneath the Krovax's overwhelming technological might. Millions perished in the initial onslaught, and those that survived were quickly rounded up by the invaders' ground forces. The Krovax, confident in their easy victory, began to establish fortified bases and resource extraction facilities across the planet. But even as the aliens celebrated their conquest, they failed to notice the small sparks of resistance flickering to life in the ruins of human civilization. In hidden bunkers and secret bases, the remnants of Earth's militaries and governments began to regroup and plan their counterattack. Leading the resistance was General Thaddeus Vance, a grizzled veteran of countless battles and a master of unconventional warfare. Vance had long warned of the possibility of an alien invasion, but his concerns had been dismissed as paranoid ravings by short-sighted politicians. Now, with the Krovax's boots on Earth's soil, Vance found himself thrust into the role of humanity's last hope. "We may be outgunned and outnumbered," Vance said to his ragtag group of survivors, his steel-gray eyes burning with determination, "but we have something the Krovax will never understand, the indomitable human spirit. We will fight them in the streets, in the forests, in the mountains. We will make them bleed for every inch of our world." Under Vance's leadership, the human resistance began a campaign of guerrilla warfare against the Krovax occupation. They struck supply lines, sabotaged mining equipment, and ambushed alien patrols with improvised weapons and clever tactics. The Krovax, used to quick and easy conquests, found themselves mired in a brutal and costly insurgency. As news of the human resistance spread across the planet, more and more survivors rallied to Vance's cause. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to reverse-engineer captured Krovax technology, while hackers infiltrated the aliens' communication networks to gather valuable intelligence. The Krovax, their initial confidence shattered by the humans' relentless defiance, began to resort to increasingly brutal tactics to crush the resistance. Mass executions, torture, and the use of chemical weapons became commonplace as Kraxus grew more and more frustrated with his army's inability to pacify the humans. But even in the face of such brutality, the humans refused to surrender. They adapted, innovated, and continued to strike back against their oppressors with a ferocity that shocked the Krovax. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn as the cost of holding Earth grew higher and higher for the invaders. Back on the Council's homeworld, Xyloth watched the reports of the human resistance with a mix of admiration and trepidation. The avian counselor knew that the Krovax's invasion would not go unanswered by the Council, but he also realized that the humans' incredible resilience and adaptability had the potential to change the galaxy forever. As the conflict on Earth entered a new and bloody phase, Xyloth couldn't shake the feeling that the true nature of humanity was about to be unleashed upon an unsuspecting universe. The turning of the tide. As the Krovax occupation of Earth dragged on, the human resistance only grew stronger and more determined. Under the leadership of General Vance, resistance cells across the planet began to coordinate their efforts, sharing resources, intelligence, and tactical innovations through a secret network of communication channels. In the ruins of New York City, a group of former MIT students led by the brilliant young engineer Dr. Liam Connors worked tirelessly to reverse-engineer the Krovax's advanced plasma weapons. Their breakthrough came in the form of a portable EMP device capable of neutralizing the aliens' energy shielding, leaving them vulnerable to conventional human weaponry. Meanwhile, in the jungles of South America, Captain Isabella Alvarez and her team of elite Special Forces operatives launched daring raids on Krovac supply lines, using the dense foliage and treacherous terrain to their advantage. Alvarez's uncanny ability to anticipate the aliens' moves and exploit their weaknesses quickly made her a legend among the resistance. As word of these successes spread, more and more humans rallied to the cause. In Paris, a group of former Air Force pilots led daring aerial attacks on Krovac's ships using modified civilian aircraft equipped with Connor's EMP devices. In Tokyo, a network of hackers known as the Oni Collective infiltrated the aliens' communication systems, sowing chaos and disinformation among their ranks. The Krovacs, faced with an increasingly sophisticated and coordinated human resistance, began to lose their grip on the planet. Craxus, his fury growing with each setback, demanded that his forces crush the humans by any means necessary. But even the warlord's brutal tactics could not quell the flames of human defiance. The turning point came when a crack team of human special forces, led by none other than Captain Alvarez herself, successfully infiltrated the Krovacs' main command ship in orbit above Earth. In a daring mission that would go down in history as one of the most audacious military operations ever undertaken, Alvarez and her team managed to sabotage the ship's main reactor, sending it crashing down to the surface in a cataclysmic explosion. The loss of their command ship dealt a devastating blow to the Krovacs' morale and coordination. Seizing the opportunity, General Vance launched a globally coordinated counterattack, with resistance cells across the planet striking the aliens' weakened forces with a furious vengeance. In the chaos of the human onslaught, Craxus himself was cornered by a team of resistance fighters led by Dr. Connors. In a desperate last stand, the warlord fought with the savagery of a cornered beast, but even his formidable strength was no match for the human's tenacity and Connors' genius. With a final, defiant roar, Craxus fell to the humans' weapons, his reign of terror over Earth finally at an end. As news of the warlord's defeat spread, the remaining Krovacs forces fell into disarray. Many surrendered outright, while others fled the planet in a desperate bid to escape the humans' wrath. Within days, the once mighty Krovacs occupation had crumbled, and the people of Earth emerged victorious against an enemy that had once seemed invincible. But even as the humans celebrated their hard-won freedom, they knew that their struggle was far from over. The Krovacs' defeat had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, and the eyes of countless alien civilizations were now fixed upon Earth with a mixture of fear, respect, and hunger. The humans had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, and the galactic stage would never be the same again. On the Galactic Council's homeworld, Xyloth watched the unfolding events with a sense of vindication and awe. The avian counselor knew that the humans' victory would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy, and that Earth would soon take its rightful place among the stars. But he also knew that the Council's arrogance and complacency had nearly cost them everything, and that the true measure of a species lay not in their technology, but in the strength of their spirit and the fire of their determination. Victory through sacrifice. As the dust settled on Earth's hard-won victory over the Krovacs, the true cost of the war began to come into focus. Billions had perished in the conflict, and much of the planet lay in ruins. But even as the survivors mourned their fallen loved ones and began the long process of rebuilding, they knew that their struggle was far from over. In the aftermath of the Krovacs' defeat, Captain Alvarez and her team of Special Forces operatives embarked on a dangerous mission to gather vital intelligence from the wreckage of the aliens' command ship. The information they recovered proved to be a game-changer, revealing a critical weakness in the Krovacs' shield technology that could be exploited by human weapons. Armed with this knowledge, General Vance and his allies in the resistance began to plan a globally coordinated counterattack against the remaining Krovacs forces scattered across the planet. It was a risky gambit, one that would require every ounce of human ingenuity, courage, and sacrifice to pull off. At the forefront of this effort was Dr. Connors and his team of engineers, who worked around the clock to modify human weapons with the ability to pierce the Krovacs' shields. The task was daunting, but Connors and his team refused to give up, driven by the knowledge that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. As the preparations for the counterattack neared completion, Captain Alvarez and her team volunteered for a crucial but incredibly dangerous mission. They would infiltrate a heavily fortified Krovax base and plant a series of EMP charges that would disable the aliens' shields and communications, leaving them vulnerable to the main human assault. The mission was a success, but at a terrible cost. Captain Alvarez was gravely wounded in the firefight, and many of her team members lost their lives to ensure the mission's success. With her last breath, Alvarez urged her surviving comrades to leave her behind and finish the mission, knowing that her sacrifice would mean the difference between victory and defeat. Inspired by Alvarez's selfless heroism, the human forces launched their globally coordinated counterattack with a fury that stunned the Krovax. Across the planet, human fighters struck with devastating precision, their weapons tearing through the aliens' weakened defenses like hot knives through butter. The Krovax, their once formidable army now in disarray, quickly crumbled under the onslaught. Those who were not killed or captured fled the planet in terror, their dreams of conquest shattered by the indomitable will of the human spirit. As the last of the Krovax ships retreated into the void of space, the people of Earth let out a collective cry of triumph and relief. They had faced the ultimate test of their strength and resilience, and they had emerged victorious against all odds. But even as they celebrated their hard-won peace, the leaders of the resistance knew that the true fight was just beginning. The Krovax's defeat had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy, and the eyes of countless alien civilizations were now fixed upon Earth with a mixture of fear, respect, and hunger. The humans had proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with, a species capable of overcoming impossible odds through sheer tenacity, ingenuity, and sacrifice. They had earned their place among the stars, but they knew that they would have to fight tooth and nail to keep it. As the people of Earth began to rebuild their shattered world, they did so with a newfound sense of unity and purpose. They had seen the depths of their own strength and the heights of their own potential, and they knew that together, there was nothing they could not achieve. And so, even as the galaxy trembled at the thought of the humans' might, the people of Earth looked to the stars with hope and determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For they knew that the true measure of a species lay not in their technology or their conquest, but in the unbreakable bonds of their spirit and the fire of their hearts. The galaxy takes notice. As the news of humanity's stunning victory over the Krovax spread like wildfire across the galaxy, the Galactic Council found itself in a state of shocked disbelief. The notion that a primitive species like the humans could not only survive an assault by a technologically superior foe but actually defeat them in open combat was utterly inconceivable to most of the Council members. In the grand amphitheater of the Council's headquarters, emergency meetings were convened to discuss the implications of Earth's triumph. Many of the councillors who had once dismissed the humans as beneath their notice now found themselves scrambling to reassess their positions, their arrogance and complacency shattered by the undeniable proof of human resilience. Amidst the chaos and confusion, Xyloth took to the podium once again, his avian features etched with a mix of vindication and concern. Esteemed members of the council, he began, his voice ringing out clear and strong, the events of the past few months have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have grossly underestimated the potential of the human species. The chamber fell silent as Xyloth activated a holographic display, revealing a wealth of data and historical records from Earth's past. The humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Throughout their history, they have faced countless challenges and adversities, from natural disasters to wars and plagues. And each time, they have not only survived but thrived, using their creativity and adaptability to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The councillors watched in rapt attention as Xyloth highlighted key moments in human history, from the development of agriculture and the rise of civilization to the Industrial Revolution and the advent of space travel. In a mere few thousand years, the humans have gone from living in caves and wielding primitive tools to harnessing the power of the atom and reaching out to the stars. Their capacity for innovation and progress is truly staggering. But Xyloth's presentation took on a more somber tone as he delved into the darker aspects of human nature. The humans are also no strangers to conflict and strife. Their history is littered with wars and atrocities, born of the same tenacity and ingenuity that has fueled their greatest achievements. They are a species capable of both incredible compassion and terrible destruction, and we would be wise to remember that. As the council members murmured amongst themselves, Xyloth drove his point home. The Krovaks made the mistake of underestimating the humans, and they paid the price for their arrogance. We must not make the same error. It is clear that the humans have earned their place among the galactic community, and it is in our best interest to extend to them the hand of friendship and cooperation. The council chamber erupted into a frenzy of debate and discussion, with many members expressing reservation or outright opposition to Xyloth's proposal. But in the end, the avian councilors' arguments proved too compelling to ignore. The council voted to send a diplomatic mission to Earth, to formally acknowledge humanity's victory and to open negotiations for a potential alliance. As the council's emissaries prepared for their journey to Earth, Xyloth couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, and that the humans' integration into the galactic community would not be without its difficulties. But he also knew that the potential benefits of an alliance with such a remarkable species were too great to ignore. And so, as the council's ships set course for Earth, Xyloth watched the stars outside his viewport with a mix of hope and apprehension. The galaxy had been forever changed by the humans' rise, and the future was now a vast and uncharted frontier, full of possibilities both wondrous and terrifying. Only time would tell what the next chapter in the saga of humanity's ascent would bring. An uneasy alliance. As the Galactic Council's diplomatic envoy arrived on Earth, they were greeted by a world still reeling from the aftermath of the Krovaks' invasion. The scars of the conflict were visible everywhere, from the ruined cities and battle-scarred landscapes to the haunted eyes of the survivors who had endured unimaginable horrors. But amidst the destruction and trauma, there was also a palpable sense of hope and determination. The humans, having emerged victorious against a seemingly invincible foe, were now more united and resolute than ever before. They had glimpsed the depths of their own strength and resilience, and they were ready to take their rightful place among the stars. The Council's emissaries, led by the wise and diplomatic ambassador Sorax, were initially taken aback by the humans' wary and mistrustful demeanor. Despite their offers of friendship and cooperation, many human leaders remained skeptical of the Council's motives, viewing them as little more than fair-weather allies who had stood by while Earth burned. But as the negotiations progressed, the humans began to see the potential benefits of an alliance with the galactic community. Access to advanced alien technologies and knowledge could help accelerate Earth's recovery and development, while the Council's vast network of trade and diplomacy offered new opportunities for growth and exploration. For their part, the Council members were deeply impressed by the humans' rapid assimilation of Krovaks technology. In mere months, human scientists and engineers had not only reverse-engineered many of the aliens' most advanced weapons and systems but had even begun to improve upon them in ways the Council had never conceived. This rapid technological advancement, coupled with the humans' uncanny ability to adapt and innovate on the fly, made many Council members uneasy. They realized that the humans were not content to simply be passive recipients of alien knowledge but were determined to become active participants in shaping the future of the galaxy. As the negotiations neared their conclusion, Ambassador Sorax met with a delegation of Earth's most prominent leaders, including General Vance, Dr. Connors, and the newly elected President Aliyah Sorensen, daughter of the late Captain Lena Sorensen, who had sacrificed her life to save Earth from the Krovaks. In a private moment, Sorax expressed his admiration for the humans' courage and tenacity, but also his concerns about the potential dangers of their rapid ascent. Your species has accomplished in a few short years what many others have struggled to achieve in centuries, he said, his eyes glinting with a mix of respect and apprehension. But with great power comes great responsibility, and the road ahead will be fraught with challenges and temptations. President Sorensen, her gaze steady and unwavering, replied, "We understand the risks, Ambassador, and we do not take them lightly. But we also know that we cannot turn back now. The Krovaks showed us that the galaxy is a dangerous and unpredictable place, and we must be ready to face whatever threats may come." She paused, her voice taking on a note of steel. But make no mistake, we will face those threats on our own terms, as equals and partners, not as subordinates or pawns. We have earned our place at the table, and we will not be denied. In the end, a tentative alliance was struck, with the humans agreeing to share their knowledge and resources with the Council in exchange for access to advanced alien technologies and a seat on the galactic stage. It was a historic moment, marking the beginning of a new era of cooperation and discovery between the peoples of the galaxy. But even as the celebrations and ceremonies commenced, many council members couldn't shake the feeling that they had just unleashed something far more powerful and unpredictable than they had ever imagined. They had seen the fire and fury of the human spirit firsthand, and they knew that if that fire were ever turned against them, the consequences would be unimaginable. And so, as the alliance between Earth and the galactic community took its first tentative steps forward, the stage was set for a new chapter in the saga of humanity's rise. A chapter filled with wonder and terror, hope and despair, and the knowledge that the true measure of a species lay not in the stars they conquered, but in the strength of the bonds they forged in the face of adversity.